Let's dive into the mysteries in today's video. Medieval medicine. In the field of historical medical research, discoveries related to medieval medicine are revealing a practical value that goes far beyond the traditional notion of a dark age. The process of decoding ancient medical manuscripts, most notably Bald's Leech Book, a 9th century Anglo-Saxon text documenting remedies and treatment techniques, has provided experimental evidence for the effectiveness of medicines from this era. The original formula for an ointment used to treat styes, a persistent and stubborn eye infection that remains difficult to cure even with some modern antibiotics, was meticulously recreated by scientists based on the ancient manuscript. Under the supervision of microbiology experts, this ointment demonstrated the ability to kill methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, one of the most formidable challenges facing modern medicine. The work does not stop there. Research teams across Europe and America have gone on to examine hundreds of other medicinal recipes preserved in Old Latin manuscripts. Their results reveal that many remedies from the 11th to 14th centuries employed combinations of natural ingredients that could generate highly active compounds, some with chemical structures never before identified in modern scientific databases. Chemical and molecular biological analysis of these recreated herbal samples has clarified the exact mechanisms by which they act on bacterial cells, opening up the potential for the discovery of new bioactive substances that could form the basis for the next generation of antibiotics. The significance of these findings goes far beyond the value of historical documentation. In an era when antibiotic-resistant bacteria are spreading globally, returning to the study of ancient medical knowledge is emerging as a breakthrough scientific strategy. This effort requires close collaboration across disciplines and a careful assessment of the real-world effectiveness of ancient remedies under modern conditions. Initial results confirm that ancient communities did not simply rely on folk wisdom. They developed treatment methods grounded in systematic observation and empirical knowledge, handed down through generations. The successful reconstruction of the sty ointment recipe from Bald's Leech Book is compelling proof of the practical value traditional medicine holds in the ongoing battle against modern infectious diseases. In this way, today's science finds not only new solutions to pressing challenges, but also a renewed appreciation for the crucial role of traditional knowledge in the long arc of human medical progress. The strange phenomenon of magnetism and the Olmec statues. Magnetic field surveys conducted on 11 stone statues from the Olmec civilization in Central America have revealed an unusual magnetic phenomenon. Specifically, measurements recorded strong magnetic points concentrated in certain fixed areas on the surface of the statues, most commonly at the forehead. The magnetic values here were significantly higher than those found on other parts of the statue. And this pattern was not random, it followed a repeating rule across many different artifacts. Analyses conducted by research teams from Harvard and Yale universities have ruled out the possibility that this phenomenon was caused by weathering or natural physical effects. According to materials science experts, the localized concentration of magnetic fields on the Olmec statues could only occur if the artisans intentionally selected basalt blocks rich in iron-bearing minerals with high magnetic properties, or if they knew how to identify the areas of strong magnetism on the material before carving. Beyond human heads, the surveys also confirmed the presence of magnetic anomalies on animal statues, for example, on the snout of turtles or the legs of jaguar figures, demonstrating that knowledge of magnetism was applied consistently throughout the sculpting process. In addition, archaeological tools such as polished stone rods, which may have served as magnetic testing devices, have reinforced the hypothesis that the Olmecs possessed an understanding of the natural properties of magnetism. This discovery expands the boundaries of our understanding of the technological prowess of ancient American civilizations. If the Olmecs truly had the ability to detect and harness magnetism in daily life, this would be direct evidence that physical concepts like magnetism were being explored and utilized in the Americas more than 1,000 years before the compass appeared in ancient China. Although the specific purpose of this knowledge remains undetermined, the available data confirm that the Olmec scientific understanding of magnetism far exceeded what archaeologists previously assumed. The Babylonian mathematical tablet. When archaeologists discovered the Plimpton 322 clay tablet in southern Iraq, they uncovered one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the mathematical knowledge of the Babylonians nearly 4,000 years ago. This tablet, inscribed with cuneiform script, contains rows of numbers that modern mathematicians now recognize as sets of Pythagorean triples, the very foundation of the famous theorem on right triangles. What is truly remarkable is that this tablet dates to around 1800 BC, more than a millennium before the time of Pythagoras in Greece. The numbers are systematically arranged, divided into columns corresponding to the measured values of the sides of right triangles. Deciphering experts found that the Babylonians used a base 60 numerical system, enabling them to perform complex arithmetic and trigonometric calculations. The tablet may have been used for land measurement, architectural design, or mathematics instruction in ancient society. Their geometric reasoning went beyond simple practice, reflecting an ability to generalize geometric relationships into numbers, something that far surpassed the level of many other civilizations of their time. The existence of Plimpton 322 has forced modern scholars to reconsider traditional views of the origins of Western mathematics. Textbooks have long identified ancient Greece as the birthplace of theoretical mathematics. However, this evidence shows that the Babylonians not only understood key theorems, but also applied them systematically in practical contexts. This is not merely a discovery about numerical knowledge. It also redefines the entire course of ancient mathematical development. It proves that the Babylonians had advanced far in science long before the emergence of Greece's famous mathematicians. The Utopian Temple in Saudi Arabia. The ruins of a Neolithic temple recently discovered near the Saudi capital of Riyadh have opened up an entirely new perspective on the history of the Arabian Peninsula. An international archaeological team, working with the Saudi Heritage Commission, utilized a series of modern technologies, including ground-penetrating radar, to search for traces beneath the thick desert sands. After months of analyzing data from aerial photographs to digital terrain maps, they were able to pinpoint the exact location and layout of this ancient complex. At the center of the site stands a large stone altar, once used for rituals that have never been reenacted in the past 8,000 years. Surrounding the temple are traces of numerous houses, indicating that this was not only a place of worship, but also the social center for an entire prehistoric community. Notably, 287 ancient tombs have been found interspersed throughout the surrounding area. What makes this site especially noteworthy beyond the realm of ordinary archaeology are the inscriptions carved into stone tablets. One of the steles bears the name of the deity Kahal, suggesting that before the arrival of Islam, the society here already possessed a rich religious tradition. The entire discovery raises many questions for researchers about the evolutionary trajectory of Arabian Peninsula societies. This temple not only breaks through previous chronological boundaries, but also demonstrates the creativity and early development of complex belief systems among the people of this region. The Kaimanawa Wall in New Zealand. Deep within the Kaimanawa forest of New Zealand stands a stone wall that has sparked decades of controversy in the scientific community. This structure is composed of large stone blocks set side by side, forming an unusually regular, flat surface. During field surveys, many researchers observed that the straight lines separating the blocks appeared with remarkable precision. This feature has led many to believe that the wall may be the product of ancient construction techniques. The wall lies isolated in the forest, with no trace of other structures in the surrounding area. The thick layers of soil and old tree roots covering the site suggest that this area has remained undisturbed for a very long time. Some geological studies propose that these stone blocks may have formed through the natural cooling and fracturing of volcanic rock hundreds of thousands of years ago. The vertical fissures could be the result of long-term thermal expansion and mechanical forces. However, many archaeologists and field observers argue that the regularity of the surface and edges far exceeds what could be created by natural processes alone. Samples collected from the stone blocks show mineral compositions consistent with the region's geological history, yet no artifacts or tools have been found to provide direct evidence of human intervention. The existence of the Kaimanawa Wall raises questions about natural phenomena and the creative capacities of prehistoric peoples. The ongoing debate over whether the structure is man-made or the result of geological processes remains unresolved, highlighting the complexity of interpreting ancient sites with unique shapes in areas with few traces of past cultures. The lost kingdom of the Garamantes in the Sahara. There was a time when the Sahara was not the arid wasteland we know today. From around 11,000 to 5,000 years ago, the region was covered with seasonal rains and teemed with diverse plants and animals. This favorable environment allowed prehistoric groups to settle and develop their cultures. As the humid period ended, the Sahara gradually turned into a harsh desert. Most communities were forced to leave in search of new homes, but one group managed to survive: the Garamantes kingdom. Based on geological and archaeological research, scientists have determined that the Garamantes adapted by developing a highly complex underground water management system. They dug deep channels beneath the desert, tapping into aquifers and creating a network nearly 500 kilometers long, which transported water to their settlements. The Garamantes' understanding of hydrology and their sophisticated water systems enabled them to sustain life in an increasingly hostile environment for centuries. This achievement led to the rise of an independent kingdom at the very heart of the Sahara, where most other civilizations could not endure for long. However, prolonged development led to over-extraction of groundwater. As water reserves dwindled, the irrigation system collapsed, bringing about the downfall of the entire kingdom. This is a striking example of how nature shapes human destiny. It is a lesson that we must do more to protect our environment. Alien contact in Maya civilization. In the study of pre-Columbian civilizations in Central America, certain artifacts said to have been found at ancient Maya sites have stirred heated debate over the possibility of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Numerous stone discs and carved fragments depicting flying objects and beings with non-human forms, as well as strange astronomical symbols, have surfaced in documents alleged to have leaked from secure archives of Mexican archaeological agencies. Although there has been no official confirmation from international scientific organizations, these artifacts have become the center of much discussion. The depictions of disc-shaped objects and technical details that differ from traditional religious motifs raise questions about the origin of these symbols in ancient Maya culture. Some researchers believe that these depictions reflect advanced astronomical knowledge, or perhaps even observations or contact with phenomena that could not be explained by the technology or understanding of that era. The scientific significance of these discoveries goes beyond speculation about extraterrestrial contact. They also prompt a reassessment of the material heritage of ancient civilizations. Decoding the images and related documents could reveal not only the level of cosmic awareness, but also the multi-dimensional connections between culture and the development of pre-modern societies. While independent studies have yet to authenticate these artifacts, the topic of alien contact remains one of humanity's greatest unsolved mysteries. Ouarzazate, the gateway city of the desert. Ouarzazate, located at the southern edge of the Atlas Mountains, is one of the earliest urban centers along the trans-Saharan trade route. This unique geographical position made Ouarzazate a vital hub, connecting caravans between sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, and the Mediterranean throughout the medieval period. The city's urban structure and development model clearly reflect the impact of the desert environment on society at that time. One of the most prominent landmarks in Ouarzazate is the 8 Ben Haddou Fortress, a cluster of earthen architecture that exemplifies building techniques adapted to hot, dry climates. The structures within the fortress are interconnected, linked by narrow passageways and a network of food storage facilities. It served not only as a defensive stronghold and a center of commerce, but also as a symbol of the region's social development over many centuries. Since the 11th century, Ouarzazate flourished as a mandatory stop for caravans, where merchants could rest and exchange news from across the continent. The cultural interchange between local communities and foreign traders has left behind a rich legacy, from ancient neighborhoods to traditional markets. In modern times, Ouarzazate has become a center for historical and archaeological research in North Africa, as well as a renowned filming location for international cinema, thanks to its distinctive landscape and historic architecture. The preservation of both tangible and intangible heritage here has played a crucial role in deepening our understanding of human adaptation to harsh conditions, as well as the continual evolution of desert communities from the past to the present. The French plan to turn the Sahara into an inland sea. In the late 19th century, one of the most ambitious engineering projects ever proposed for North Africa was conceived by French scientists and engineers. Their idea was to transform a vast part of the Sahara Desert into an inland sea by digging a canal to connect the Mediterranean to deep depressions below sea level in the Sahara, specifically near the border of Tunisia and Algeria. The project aimed not only to provide fresh water for large-scale agriculture in the heart of the desert, but also to strengthen administrative and economic control over the colonial territories. From a scientific perspective, the engineers believed that bringing seawater into these interior basins would create a more temperate climate, foster the development of new ecosystems, and facilitate inland trade among isolated Saharan communities. The plan was based on the assumption that extensive areas below sea level existed in the Sahara, once the floor of an ancient sea as described in Herodotus's historical accounts. However, detailed geological surveys revealed that much of the proposed project area actually sat higher than the Mediterranean Sea, making the canal impossible to construct with the technology of the time. A series of surveys and detailed technical proposals were conducted, but ultimately, none could overcome the terrain and technological limitations. When the project was finally cancelled, its leader died, leaving behind an unfinished dream and continued debate over the extent to which humanity can reshape the natural world. The plan to turn the Sahara into an inland sea stands as a lasting lesson in the limits of science and the ambitions of colonial history. The Inca supercomputer of knotted strings. When it comes to ancient methods of data management, the Inca quipu stands out as a remarkable example of ingenuity that did not depend on a written script. Throughout the height of the Inca Empire in the Andes, quipu served as a system of knotted cords, used by central administrators as well as local communities. At first glance, a quipu appears simple, a main cord with multiple subsidiary strings attached, but beneath this simplicity lies a complex set of rules. Modern research has confirmed that ancient quipu were used for tax management, census records, and religious ceremonies. The knot combinations represent a decimal system, with each cluster of knots symbolizing a particular unit. But that is not all. Some quipu contain more enigmatic symbols, prompting some scholars to theorize that quipu may have been used to record stories or even encode messages that go far beyond mere numbers. The process of deciphering quipu shows that the fundamental principles of data processing were already being developed by the Inca in the 15th century, in a context where widespread writing did not exist. Each quipu was not merely an individual record, but could be linked together into a distributed data network, supporting a centralized administrative system. Notably, many mathematicians and computer scientists examining quipu have likened the system to an early mechanical computer of humanity. The way information was organized through quipu demonstrates a logical approach closely related to modern data science principles, from numerical encoding to the division of information into multiple fields. Fully understanding and decoding the quipu system remains a major challenge. To date, most quipu have only been identified as census records, and many samples have not yet yielded their internal codes. Each new discovery raises questions about the depth of knowledge once held by the Inca. Underground dwellings in lava tubes in Saudi Arabia. Amid the harsh deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, the Jiran lava tube system has created a unique environment where prehistoric people could adapt and thrive for thousands of years. This system is the result of volcanic activity millions of years ago, leaving behind basalt tunnels stretching more than 1.5 kilometers beneath the ground. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed that this place once served as a residence and livestock area for ancient communities. When researchers examined the remnants inside these tunnels, they found traces of ancient campfires, animal bones, and fragments of working tools. This suggests that the lava tubes were not just temporary shelters. The cool, stable air underground also helped preserve food, minimize the risk of dehydration, and allowed communities to survive even as scorching heat blazed above. Long-term settlement within the lava tube systems also helped ancient inhabitants effectively cope with environmental changes. This stands as evidence of humanity's remarkable understanding and adaptability in the face of nature. Not only at Jiran, but similar natural lava tube systems have also been found elsewhere on the Arabian Peninsula, showing that this was a widespread survival strategy throughout the history of desert communities in West Asia. The spiral well system of the Nazca people. In ancient times, the Nazca people undertook an unprecedented experiment in irrigation amid unforgiving conditions. They constructed a network of dozens of spiral wells that plunged deep into the earth, connecting with underground canals that brought water to their settlements. The most recognizable feature of each well is its perfectly formed spiral, with steps descending toward the center, allowing people to access the aquifer below, while also supporting a continuous airflow that reduced water evaporation underground. These wells are linked to subterranean aqueducts, channels assembled from sturdy pebbles, directing groundwater from highlands to lower-lying areas. The construction of this system required the Nazca to carefully survey geological conditions, accurately locate underground water sources, and select appropriate materials. Moreover, the coordination of multiple spiral wells along a single aqueduct enabled an even distribution of water to each settlement area. Thanks to this network, both residential areas and farmland could flourish, sustaining a populous civilization right in the heart of the desert. Today, even with satellite imagery and modern field survey technologies, many technical details of the aqueducts remain unexplained. Some researchers believe that, beyond their practical function, the spiral wells also held religious significance, since the placement and number of wells sometimes align with the famous Nazca lines. Regardless of their primary purpose, the Nazca well and aqueduct system stands as a testament to this civilization's advanced irrigation technology and exemplifies the remarkable adaptability of ancient peoples when faced with nature's most daunting challenges. The sudden appearance of a lake in the Tunisian desert. In 2014, a freshwater lake spanning thousands of square meters suddenly appeared in the desert near Gafsa, Tunisia. This was an extraordinary phenomenon in a region defined by prolonged drought and a landscape of limestone interspersed with sand, where surface water is scarce. The lake's appearance raised numerous questions about its hydrogeological origins, geological impacts, and environmental risks. According to initial analyses, the most widely supported hypothesis among geologists is that the formation of the lake is directly linked to fault activity and fluid movement within the Earth's crust. This desert region sits atop ancient fault zones, which are frequently subject to minor tremors. Under such conditions, aquifers compressed beneath layers of limestone or sandstone can erupt to the surface if a natural or man-made outlet is formed by seismic activity or mineral extraction. This process resembles the emergence of natural springs observed in other semi-arid areas around the world. However, beyond geological causes, human factors must also be considered. The region has a long history of phosphate and mineral mining, with frequent blasting activities disturbing the underground strata. Such operations could alter the pressure in water-bearing layers, creating conditions for groundwater to surface. At the same time, experts warn of the risk that the lake water could be contaminated with hazardous substances. Chemical analysis of water samples and lakebed sediments was conducted to determine the water's origin and assess pollution risks. Preliminary results showed mineral content and microbial indicators differing from natural surface water sources in the surrounding area, supporting the view that a combination of geological and anthropogenic factors was at play. The sudden appearance of the lake in Tunisia is a classic example of the complex relationship between deep geological processes and human activities in the North African desert. Further study of this case will help us better understand the dynamics of aquifers in extreme environments and contribute to improved forecasting and management of environmental risks related to underground resource exploitation. Roman headless statues and the secret of their heads. In ancient Roman history, stone statues were not just works of art, but also tools of politics and power. Unlike many other civilizations, which typically created solid, monolithic statues, Roman sculptors developed the technique of making separate heads and bodies, with the necks precisely shaped so the head could be attached securely, but also replaced when necessary. Each statue typically featured a single body, while several different heads were carved separately, each representing a different face according to the reigning emperor or person being honored at the time. When a new emperor came to power or a politician needed to erase the image of a rival, they simply swapped the head rather than carving a whole new statue. This practice conserved valuable stone and allowed public monuments to be continually updated with the latest representation of authority. A statue in a square could, over several decades, wear the face of many different figures, while the body remained unchanged. This method is a clear reflection of Roman pragmatism. From a scientific perspective, this technique not only demonstrates the advanced skill of Roman sculptors, but also reveals how ancient societies used art as a strategic communication system. Behind each headless statue is a chain of political events and power decisions. The technique of attaching heads transcended the realm of mere art, becoming a tangible expression of both the practicality and creativity found in the art and power structures of ancient Rome. The city of Baalbek and its giant stone structures. Baalbek, located in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, is one of the largest and oldest archaeological sites in the Middle East. This city bears the marks of habitation and development across millennia, from the Neolithic period through Sumerian, Assyrian, Greek, and, most notably, Roman civilizations. Yet, what truly sets Baalbek apart from all other ancient sites are the enormous building stones, among the largest ever moved by human hands. At the heart of Baalbek, the Temple of Jupiter was built atop a foundation of stone blocks over 20 meters long, each weighing more than 1,000 tons. Other stones, such as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman and the Stone of the South, weigh up to nearly 1,200 tons larger than any blocks used in the pyramids of Giza. These stones were not only quarried several hundred meters from the site, but were also raised and fitted together with near-perfect alignment, forming a foundation that has remained stable for thousands of years. The methods used to extract, transport, and position these massive stones remain the subject of ongoing debate. No ancient texts have recorded the specific techniques employed by the engineers of the time. Some theories involve sheer human labor, pulley systems, or wooden rollers, but none fully explain how the blocks were lifted and placed with such precision at great heights. Nor is there evidence of machinery or special technology existing during that era. Baalbek reflects the exceptional organizational skill and construction expertise of ancient civilizations in the Levant. Such structures challenge our understanding of what prehistoric peoples were capable of when it came to manipulating massive building materials. To this day, the complete process of building Baalbek remains unresolved. The giant stones continue to defy traditional theories, opening new directions for the study of ancient civilizations. The handbag motif of Sumerian gods. Sumerian reliefs and stone statues consistently depict gods or powerful figures carrying a handbag-shaped object in their hands. This motif appears uniformly from ancient reliefs at Uruk to the carved art of Persepolis. The bags feature short handles, typically gripped tightly and held close to the body, often shown alongside winged deities and tree of life symbols. The true function of these handbags has never been recorded in ancient documents, giving rise to a wide range of interpretations. Some archaeologists and religious historians believe they were ritual containers, perhaps used to hold holy water or fragrant resins. However, many modern scholars have noted the unusual prevalence of the handbag symbol far beyond Mesopotamia and in other cultures with no direct connection. Speculation about cosmic knowledge has also arisen from this image, with some authors suggesting the handbag as a symbol of extraterrestrial influence. To this day, interpretations of the handbag motif rely heavily on inferences from indirect sources. This object continues to be the subject of interdisciplinary research. Its value lies in expanding the approach to the role of symbols in the formation of ancient belief systems, and it raises questions about the possibility of cross-cultural interaction dating back to prehistoric times. Migration and ancient societies of Sahul. Around 75,000 years ago, the continent of Sahul, which included Australia, Tasmania, New Guinea, and the Aru Islands, saw the arrival of the first modern humans. The evidence is based primarily on genetic models combined with geological data on changes in sea levels. Results show that waves of migration originated from Africa, spread through Southeast Asia, and crossed natural sea straits to reach Sahul. This process did not occur in a short time, but unfolded over thousands of years, with multiple successive migrations. Researchers use computer simulations to trace the migration routes, identify the most favorable sea crossing corridors, and map out patterns of population evolution. The findings suggest that the earliest groups used primitive vessels to cross the seas. Archaeological sites in Australia and New Guinea reveal early settlements dating back over 50,000 years. These sites contain evidence of fire and show how people adapted to a range of ecosystems, from tropical rainforests to semi-arid zones. The widespread of humans across Sahul laid the foundation for social differentiation, forming communities with distinct traditions and customs in the earliest period of oceanic social history. Modern research continues to add data on the impact of these ancient migrations, shedding light on the process by which the earliest Sahul communities emerged. This process forms part of the broader story of human evolution and provides important insights into ecological adaptation and social structures among ancient communities in this part of the world. Sumerian legends of spaceships and a spaceport. In a controversial speech at the inauguration of an airport in Decode, a senior Iraqi official publicly referenced the hypothesis that the Sumerians once possessed a spaceport some 7,000 years ago. This theory is based on ancient Sumerian texts and the opinions of certain Western scholars about the civilization's advanced astronomical knowledge. According to the official, clay tablets excavated in southern Iraq describe complex astronomical events, descended gods, and structures of unusual design. Drawing from texts such as the Enuma Elish epic and various cuneiform tablets, some researchers claim that the Sumerians not only recorded celestial cycles but also described objects flying back and forth across the sky. Names such as Anunnaki, a group of divine beings descending from the heavens, have fueled further debate over the possibility of extraterrestrial contact in Mesopotamian mythology. However, conclusive archaeological evidence for this theory remains extremely limited. Traditional archaeological scholarship views such accounts as symbolic representations of natural phenomena or products of mythological imagination, rather than evidence of real aerospace technology. The detailed astronomical records of the Sumerians are widely acknowledged as proof of early scientific thought, but no evidence has yet emerged of actual flying devices or spaceport infrastructure. A new desert spider species in India. In 2021, researchers at the Thar Nature Reserve in western India announced the discovery of a completely new species of jumping spider, expanding our understanding of the unique biology of this desert region. The new spider was given a scientific name reflecting its location and morphological characteristics, and was confirmed to belong to the Salticidae family, a group known for its agile movement and ability to leap great distances to hunt prey. This discovery holds great significance for evolutionary biology, since the Thar Desert is notorious for its harsh environment and wide temperature fluctuations. The ability of a jumping spider to survive and adapt here raises new questions about natural selection and offers insights into how organisms develop special survival strategies in extreme environments. Ecologically, this new spider species represents the as-yet unexplored diversity of the Thar Desert, emphasizing the importance of endemic species in maintaining ecological balance. Surveys show that jumping spiders play a key role in the food web as predators, helping control insect populations and supporting the stability of the local environment. This finding highlights the importance of biodiversity conservation, especially in places as seemingly barren and inhospitable as the Thar Desert regions that may still harbor many species unknown to science. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are often cited as a unique symbol in the history of ancient architecture, though to this day, conclusive archaeological evidence for their existence remains the subject of intense debate. According to Greek and Roman sources, the gardens were said to have been built by King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BC as a gift for Queen Amytis. Ancient descriptions claim that the gardens were not merely landscapes, but integrated technical solutions for lifting water from the Euphrates River all the way to the tops of the high terraces. This would have required a continuous system of pumps and water channels to maintain soil moisture and keep the plants alive, despite the arid climate of Mesopotamia. Some modern theories suggest the use of Archimedes screws or hydraulic methods for raising water, highlighting the era's advanced irrigation techniques. To date, however, no archaeological remains at Babylon have clearly identified the location or structure of the gardens as described in ancient texts. Some researchers have even speculated that the Hanging Gardens may have been in Nineveh, pointing to written records about grand gardens there. Others suggest that the Hanging Gardens might be a symbol of creativity and humanity's desire to conquer nature, reflected in oral traditions that have been greatly embellished over generations. Whether they existed as a physical reality or as legend, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon have played an important role in the human imagination. This legacy inspired later royal gardens and stands as a symbol of the ancient ability to combine technical innovation and artistic vision in creating extraordinary living spaces. Egyptian and European zombies. Archaeological excavations across regions from ancient Egypt to Europe have revealed the existence of rituals intended to prevent zombie phenomena in early cultures. At Heracleopolis, researchers once uncovered a tomb with a mummy displaying signs of a strange brain infection and scratch marks on the tomb walls, suggesting the deceased may have tried to escape burial. Some ancient carvings depict armies fighting headless foes, believed to illustrate anxieties about zombie outbreaks. In medieval Europe, particularly in England and Turkey, archaeologists have found graves with evidence of anti-zombie measures. In North Yorkshire, skeletons were discovered with signs of being dismembered or bearing clear cuts on their bodies. Scientists believe this was a response to fears of the dead coming back to life, a common belief in folklore, especially following periods of plague or social unrest. It was thought that destroying or mutilating the body would prevent the dead from returning to haunt the living. In Turkey, unusual graves contained cremated remains buried deep with bent nails driven around the bones. Thick lime and fired brick layers were also used to create barriers to seal the soul inside. Archaeologists suggest these rituals were intended to stop the dead from leaving the grave, especially in the case of individuals considered witches or thought to possess supernatural powers. These discoveries not only reveal the spread of zombie fears in the ancient human psyche, but also shed light on the spiritual lives of those times. The Oracle of Amun at the Siwa Oasis. Situated amid the vast Egyptian desert, the Siwa Oasis stands out as an important religious and cultural center since ancient times. Here, the Temple of Amun once housed the Oracle of Amun, an esteemed prophet regarded as a bridge between humanity and the divine. This site drew kings and powerful figures from across the ancient world, each seeking prophecy to guide critical, political, or military decisions. Among the most famous of these was Alexander the Great, who journeyed across the desert to consult the Siwa oracle in 331 BC. There, the oracle affirmed him as the son of the god Amun, an endorsement that not only strengthened his personal stature but also legitimized his rule over Egypt. Beyond its religious role, the Siwa oasis is steeped in mystery. One of the most enduring legends is the disappearance of an army of 50,000 men sent by Persian king Cambyses II to conquer the region. According to historical records, the entire force vanished without a trace in the desert, and to this day, no archaeological evidence has ever revealed their fate. The area surrounding the Siwa oasis still preserves many ancient ruins, including tombs built atop hills and excavation sites yet to be fully explored. Together, these remnants paint a complex picture of a cultural center that once played a pivotal role in the history of North Africa and the Mediterranean. Natural gas extraction and ancient beliefs. Studies of technological history have revealed early evidence that ancient Chinese civilizations were extracting and using natural gas thousands of years before Christ. In the plains of Sichuan, bamboo pipelines were developed to channel natural gas from underground reservoirs to the surface. This gas was used for boiling water, producing salt from brine, and other daily activities. Archaeology has confirmed that deep drilling techniques, combined with bamboo piping, created a primitive yet effective model for gas extraction and distribution, well ahead of similar advances in other civilizations. At the same time, in the Mediterranean and Near East, natural gas seeping from cracks in the Earth's crust was also recognized and utilized by cultures such as the Greeks and Persians. Historical and archaeological evidence points to the phenomenon of eternal flames fires kept alive by continuous flows of natural gas, becoming closely associated with religious centers and rituals. At Delphi, for example, priestesses inhaled natural gases in sacred caves before delivering prophecies. In Persia, perpetual flames were objects of worship, laying the foundation for the fire-centric religion of Zoroastrianism. The interplay between natural gas technology and religious practice illustrates not only the level of technical achievement, but also the deep connection between scientific knowledge and societal values in the ancient world. Notably, this intersection offers a new perspective for the study of technological history, emphasizing the role of both spiritual beliefs and practical needs in the evolution of early engineering. An ancient administrative complex near the city of Ur. Near the ancient city of Ur in southern Iraq, archaeologists have uncovered a vast architectural complex dating back some 4,000 years, the same era in which Abraham is said to have lived, according to ancient texts. Excavations and stratigraphic analysis reveal that this complex is located some 12 kilometers from the main urban center of Ur, suggesting a special function beyond ordinary residential use. The layout of the complex is monumental, with long walls forming a rectangular enclosure, each side measuring over 80 meters. The interior is divided into numerous rooms, corridors, and large courtyards, some areas with foundations far more robust than typical domestic buildings of the time. Based on its location and the remaining evidence, researchers believe it likely served as an administrative center or a site for important religious ceremonies in the ancient Mesopotamian community. Artifacts found at the site include clay tablets with cuneiform inscriptions, cylinder seals, and administrative tools. The presence of these documents supports the hypothesis that the complex played a role in economic coordination, tax collection, or production management. Additionally, ritual objects and temple-like structures hint at its possible use for religious ceremonies within the Sumerian community. Inca brain surgery. In the highlands of the Andes, archaeologists have confirmed that the Inca and their pre-Inca predecessors practiced cranial surgery with a level of proficiency rarely seen in prehistory. The most common method was trepanation, or the opening of the skull to relieve intracranial pressure after injury, a technique still known by that name today. Evidence from hundreds of archaeological skulls, mostly found around Cusco and Peru's coastal sites, shows that this medical knowledge evolved over many generations, from simple drilling to more complex openings in square or composite shapes, adapted to specific clinical cases. Initially, survival rates after such procedures were low, with many skulls showing signs that patients died soon after surgery. However, analysis of bone regrowth around the surgical sites indicates that success rates improved over time, especially between the 12th and 15th centuries. By the final phase of the Inca civilization, survival rates after cranial surgery could reach 80 to 90%, an impressive figure compared to contemporary techniques in Europe or elsewhere. This reflects both the accumulation of hands-on experience and the Incas' anatomical knowledge. Microscopic analysis shows that incisions were made with refined stone or metal tools, such as stone knives or, in later periods, bronze alloy blades. Ethnobotanical research reveals that the Inca used a variety of medicinal plants for antisepsis, pain relief, and bleeding control, increasing the likelihood of patient recovery. The use of local anesthetics from native plants also contributed significantly to surgical outcomes. Far from being merely an example of advanced experimental medicine, cranial surgery reveals a fairly developed community healthcare system among the Inca, with trained medical specialists and systematic post-operative care protocols. The oldest mosque ruins in Israel. The ruins of an ancient mosque in Israel's Negev desert, dated to over 1,200 years ago, represent a significant discovery for archaeology and religious history in the Middle East. During the construction of a new residential area, archaeologists found the foundations of a square building oriented toward Mecca, with a small wall niche serving as a prayer alcove. The architectural features are consistent with early Abbasid period mosques, attesting to the very early spread of Islam to this region, just a few generations after its emergence from the Arabian Peninsula. Artifact analysis indicates that the mosque was relatively small, likely serving a limited but organized community, perhaps merchants or local landowners. Additional finds, such as pottery shards, household implements, and traces of perimeter walls, confirm the continuous presence of a Muslim community here from the 8th to the 9th century. Nearby, archaeologists also discovered the foundations of a large mansion with distinctive architecture, evidence of the local elite's wealth at the time. The parallel existence of both mosque and mansion reflects a period of profound social change, as local communities adopted new religious beliefs during a time of shifting religious, political, and economic relations. The significance of this discovery lies in its contribution to our understanding of Islam's expansion into the Middle East, beyond traditional centers like Jerusalem and Damascus, and it sheds new light on the relationship between indigenous populations and rising religious political powers in the early medieval period. Hanging coffins. Studies of the practice of suspending coffins on cliff faces in East and Southeast Asian cultures reveal a unique form of burial that reflects the relationship between humans, the natural environment, and beliefs about death. In China, this custom is most clearly documented among the Bo, Dong, and especially the Bo people in Sichuan province. They selected high, sheer cliffs to place wooden coffins in natural crevices or niches, or on sturdy wooden brackets set deep into the rock face. Analysis shows this was not only a method to protect the body from wild animals, but also a way to honor the deceased, keeping them close to the sky and away from the negative effects of the earth. In the Philippines, particularly in the mountainous region of Sagada, the tradition of hanging coffins has also been practiced for generations by the Igorot people. They crafted compact coffins and skillfully used ropes or deeply buried them in vertical rock crevices. Archaeological and oral history data indicate that the Igorot believed that the high position on the cliffs made it easier for ancestral spirits to return to their forebears or the gods. At the same time, this practice helped protect remains from grave robbers and prevented the rapid decomposition caused by damp soil. On Sulawesi Island in Indonesia, tribes such as the Toraja have also developed traditions of suspending or placing coffins in natural caves and cliffs. They used strong wooden supports, building layered burial sites right up against the rock face. This method of burial reflects the belief in a sacred space above and enabled communities to guard and care for their ancestral graves more easily. A synthesis of archaeological, anthropological, and cultural studies shows that the practice of hanging coffins on cliffs was not only a physical measure to protect bodies from animals and grave robbers, but also an expression of a deep belief in the connection between the living, the dead, and the spiritual world. Though each region had its own variations, this custom reflects the creative adaptation of communities to geographical challenges and the ongoing need to preserve spiritual values across generations. The evolution of nomadic riders and the oldest saddle in Asia. The discovery of a 2,700-year-old saddle in the Turpan Valley of China provides direct evidence for the early development of horse riding technology in East Asia. This artifact was unearthed from a woman's grave, where the body was buried alongside leather clothing, woolen trousers, and tall boots, highlighting the practical role of women in ancient equestrian societies. Archaeological data and material analysis indicate that this saddle belongs to the earliest type, made from leather and organic materials, well suited to Turpan's arid environment. Compared to saddle finds from Central Asia and Russia, the Turpan discovery predates the Scythian saddles by about 2 centuries, suggesting that this technology may have emerged and developed independently at multiple centers across the Eurasian steppes. Anthropological and archaeological research shows that the use of saddles fundamentally transformed the mobility, herding, and military strategies of ancient nomadic communities, while also encouraging migration, cultural exchange, and the formation of large tribal confederations like the Scythians and the legendary female warriors recorded in Greek myths. The appearance of the saddle in Turpan also reflects the versatile role of women in ancient society, from production, labor, to horse riding, and possibly even in warfare. Combining material evidence and regional comparisons, this discovery sheds light on the independent development and diffusion of saddle technology across Eurasia, helping explain the rise of great nomadic societies and the crucial role of horsemanship in shaping cultural and social change across the ancient steppe. Minoan star navigation skills. Research into the architecture of palaces and central buildings on Crete has revealed that the Minoans paid close attention not only to construction techniques, but also to astronomical orientation. Many major structures feature central courtyards or axes, aligned with the movement of prominent stars, matching the rising or setting of certain constellations at the horizon during the annual cycle. Archaeological data and field measurements show that these alignments were deliberate, based on established astronomical rules, and used to determine the timing of rituals, agricultural seasons, or maritime activities. Scientific evidence suggests that the Minoans may have used a star route navigation system, sea routes determined by the positions of stars at night, to guide ships from island to island or from Crete to other Mediterranean ports. By precisely tracking the stars, they could maintain course on long sea journeys even when no land was in sight. The integration of astronomical knowledge into daily life, production, ceremonies, and exploration greatly enhanced Minoan trading skills, expanded their commercial networks, and contributed to the process of cultural exchange across the ancient Mediterranean. This analysis shows that the Minoans' observation and application of cosmic laws were practical and systematic, and highlights the central role of astronomy in the social and economic structures of pre-Hellenic societies. The Nimrud lens. At the ruins of Nimrud Palace of the Assyrian Empire, archaeologists discovered a crystal lens estimated to be about 3,000 years old, sparking debate over its true function. The Nimrud lens is crafted from natural rock crystal, polished and slightly oval in shape, with a focal length measured at about 11 centimeters. Its form and clarity allow it to focus and transform light, indicating a certain level of understanding of optical principles in ancient Mesopotamian society. Many theories have been proposed to explain the use of this lens. Some researchers believe it may have served as a simple magnifier, helping to observe details on engravings, gemstone carvings, or to study insects and medicinal plants. Another hypothesis suggests the lens was used to start fires by focusing sunlight on organic materials useful for religious rituals or daily life. Most controversially, some have argued it was a component in an early telescope, allowing the Assyrians to observe celestial bodies and thus explaining their advanced astronomical knowledge for the era. The ability to craft a lens capable of refracting and focusing light, with finely worked, curved surfaces, demonstrates that ancient artisans had mastered crystal manipulation and understood certain physical properties of light. Although the final purpose of the Nimrud lens remains unresolved, its existence is direct evidence that ancient civilizations had early access to, and even practical application of, basic optical principles. The ongoing debate surrounding the Nimrud lens continues to inspire interdisciplinary research into the history of science, technology, and the evolution of human perception. The Manahune irrigation system in Hawaii. The Manahune Ditch on Kauai Island, Hawaii, is a remnant of an ancient aqueduct system. This structure was built from large, precisely joined stones without the use of mortar. Archaeological evidence suggests the system once extended for many kilometers and stood above the natural ground level, channeling water from mountain springs to residential areas. The stonework technique allowed the ditch to retain its shape and flow over centuries, withstanding floods and environmental changes. The origin of the system remains debated. Local legend attributes its construction to the Manahune people, described as a short-statured community living apart from later arrivals. However, archaeology has yet to uncover human remains or artifacts directly linked to the Manahune, leaving this theory unproven. Some researchers believe the Manahune story preserves the memory of Hawaii's earliest inhabitants, passed down through oral tradition. From a technical perspective, the Manahune Ditch demonstrates the water management expertise of ancient Hawaiians. The selection of materials, organization of transport, stone placement, and ongoing maintenance of the system required knowledge of topography, hydrology, and labor management. The aqueduct ensured reliable irrigation and domestic water supplies under changing climate conditions, supporting agricultural productivity, settlement stability, and social development. The Manahune Ditch is an important case study for the evolution of irrigation technology in the Pacific region. It illustrates the degree of environmental mastery achieved by ancient societies and the role of technical knowledge in social organization and economic growth on the islands. Although the true builders and construction methods remain open questions, the physical legacy of the Manahune Ditch continues to inform research into the technological and social history of ancient Hawaii. The Sohei Japan's warrior monks. In medieval Japan, the internal fragmentation of Buddhist sects led to the emergence of a unique social phenomenon, the rise of warrior monks, or Sohei. This trend began with power struggles between major temples, which served as local centers of both economic and political influence. As temples clashed over land, assets, and control, groups of clergy began training in martial arts and arming themselves, eventually developing their own military forces. Historical records document the year 970, when violence between Enryakuji and Midera temples marked the beginning of large-scale religious militarization. In later centuries, Sohei not only protected their own temples, but participated in feudal warfare, playing independent roles in key battles and sometimes even overpowering traditional samurai armies. The activities of the Sohei had a profound impact on the political, military, and religious landscape of Japan, showing the direct connection between religious and armed power. The growth of these monastic armies helped shape the complex relationship between the state and religion. Local warlords often allied with or opposed Sohei groups to consolidate or expand their influence. As a result, religion became not only a spiritual force, but also a direct participant in political life, shaping the course of wars and shifts in power throughout medieval Japan. By the end of the 16th century, when Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu unified the country, the Sohei were dissolved, ending an era in which religion held a central role in both military and social power in Japan. Meteorite glass in the Atacama Desert. In Chile's Atacama Desert, scientists have recorded the presence of large, naturally occurring glass formations scattered in bands across the desert surface. Geological analysis indicates that these glass fragments were created by an extremely rare astronomical event. A large meteorite exploded in the atmosphere about 12,000 years ago. The impact generated intense heat, sufficient to melt and transform the structure of the surface silica sand, creating natural glass masses that stretch for dozens of kilometers. By analyzing isotopic compositions, researchers have identified traces of unusual elements of extraterrestrial origin, directly confirming the role of the meteorite in forming this glass. The appearance of these abnormally distributed glass layers provides crucial empirical evidence for the theory that meteorite events have dramatically shaped planetary surfaces. The meteorite glass of the Atacama not only helps scientists study the history of meteorite impacts, but also expands our understanding of how geology can be transformed by extreme heat and energy over a short period of time. These findings allow for comparisons with similar processes that may have occurred on other planets within our solar system. Ongoing research on these glass samples seeks to further trace the scale of the explosion, the meteorite's composition, and the broader impact of this phenomenon on South America's primordial ecosystems at the end of the last ice age. Traps and defenses in Egyptian tombs. Research into the structures of Egypt's pyramids and ancient tombs reveals that the engineers of the era employed various mechanical methods to protect burial chambers. In the pyramids at Giza and certain royal tombs, large blocks of stone were placed on sliding grooves or stone rails, ready to seal off passageways leading to the main chamber if the system was triggered. At times, these stones were arranged in series to create a multi-layered locking effect, making access to artifacts much more complex. Additionally, defensive designs could include hidden recesses and crushing mechanisms intended to hinder or even kill unauthorized intruders. However, field surveys show that most tombs now discovered bear signs of their defenses having been breached. While these preventative measures were effective initially, over time tomb robbers found ways to bypass barriers, exploit design weaknesses, and even use mechanical tools to break through blocking stones or enlarge entryways. The evolution of burial defenses in Egypt reflects not only efforts to safeguard treasures and relics from intrusion, but also demonstrates organizational thinking, construction skills, and the awareness of both material and spiritual value among ancient dynasties. Today, these defense systems remain valuable sources for the study of technological progress and security measures in ancient Egyptian society. Uruk, cradle of the ancient city. Uruk has been identified by archaeologists as one of humanity's earliest cities, flourishing in Mesopotamia from the 4th millennium BC. Under kings such as Gilgamesh, Uruk was not only an administrative center, but also the birthplace of many foundational inventions of urban civilization, most notably the use of personal seals. These seals, carved and pressed into clay, marked ownership and transactions, marking a major step in the creation of systems for managing and storing social information. Uruk's religious architecture stands out, with its ziggurat-stepped temple towers symbolizing a connection between earth and the divine. The Uruk ziggurat is considered an inspiration for the biblical Tower of Babel. Constructing these large-scale monuments required labor organization and building skills, but also spurred the development of a stratified society, giving rise to classes of craftsmen, priests, administrators, and laborers. Uruk was also home to one of the world's earliest writing systems, cuneiform, used to record economic activities, rituals, trade, and governance. This established the foundation for the storage, transmission, and inheritance of knowledge across generations. Written records of assets and resources contributed to the development of a complex commodity economy and the emergence of merchants and urban officials. The rise and decline of Uruk mirrors the very first process of urbanization in human history, establishing the concept of the city with features such as centers of power, technological innovation, religious culture, and administrative systems. The archaeological remains of Uruk today stand as evidence of a turning point in human history, from tribal agricultural societies to urban civilization, with extraordinary abilities to organize and create, paving the way for later cities in the Middle East and around the world. Roman underfloor heating systems. Ancient Rome's underfloor heating systems were the product of integrating multiple physical principles into domestic architecture, becoming widespread from the 1st century BC through the end of the Western Empire. Structurally, the hypocaust consisted of a hollow space beneath the room's floor and above the ground, formed by a grid of brick or stone pillars, creating a network of air channels. The furnace was usually placed outside or at the lowest point of the building, channeling hot air throughout the system. Hot air from the furnace was distributed through ceramic or brick pipes embedded in the walls to maximize heat transfer efficiency. Most hypocaust systems were installed in villas, public baths, or elite residences. Archaeological evidence from cities such as Pompeii, Ostia, Bath, and numerous villas in Gaul and Britannia shows that the density of hypocausts corresponded to regional economic and technical development. Analysis of mortar residues, heat-resistant bricks, accumulated ash, and soot deposits allows researchers to reconstruct the system's operation from fuel, supply, and pressure regulation to convection and exhaust. The floor had to support weight and prevent leaks, while the hot air needed to circulate steadily at low pressure to avoid the buildup of toxic gases such as CO or the risk of fire. By combining the hypocaust with wall flues, the system created a stable indoor environment, reduced seasonal temperature swings, and inhibited the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. The widespread use of hypocausts demonstrates not only the practical application of building materials, but also reflects the ancient ability to control and allocate energy in large communities. This technology laid the foundation for principles of climate control, leading to modern underfloor heating and research on thermal materials in architecture. Socially, the hypocaust was a sign of class stratification. Only a select group had access to this technology, while also illustrating the connection between technological progress and changing spatial organization in ancient life. The uses of mint. Genetic sequencing of the mint plant now allows for the identification of bioactive compounds and the tracing of the natural evolution and hybridization of species in the mint family. Genome analysis reveals genes encoding enzymes responsible for synthesizing monoterpenes and other essential oil compounds, the main ingredients behind mint's pharmacological effects and its value in food, medicine, and biotechnology. Long before advances in genetics and biochemistry, ancient communities in Egypt, Greece, China, and elsewhere had already used mint as a common remedy, as documented in ancient medical texts, fossil plant analyses, and traces found on archaeological medical tools. Mint was employed to treat digestive symptoms, relieve pain, reduce inflammation, prevent infection, and preserve food. Some classical texts also record mint's use as a contraceptive or as an ingredient in formulas for respiratory and neurological treatments. Modern researchers of folk medicine now recognize the accumulated, empirically tested wisdom of traditional healing, especially in the use of local plants. The match between mint's proven pharmacological effects and the treatment experience of various cultures has been confirmed across the world. Cross-referencing gene and molecular chemistry makes it possible to identify new applications for mint and to develop sources of bioactive compounds for medicines, remedies, and health products in our time. Maya blood sacrifice rituals during solar eclipses. The Maya developed a highly accurate astronomical observation system, enabling them to predict events such as solar eclipses from an early period in Central American history. Ancient documents, especially the Dresden Codex, record in detail the cycles of the sun, moon, and planets. A solar eclipse was considered a moment of cosmic upheaval when the sun suddenly vanished from the daytime sky. For the Maya priesthood, a solar eclipse was not only a natural event, but also a moment of mythological and ritual significance. When an eclipse occurred, the Maya held blood sacrifice ceremonies presided over by the king and the nobility. According to their religious beliefs, such rituals were meant to provide restorative energy for the sun gods, restoring cosmic balance and preventing disaster for the community. These rites were carried out with strict observance of timing, location, and the choice of offerings, reflecting the close interconnection of astronomical knowledge, political authority, and religious practice in Maya society. Archaeological evidence and analysis of ancient Maya inscriptions show that these rituals were highly structured, including preparation, sacrifice, and the offering of gifts to the gods. The activities were closely tied to the Maya worldview, in which humans served as intermediaries between supernatural forces and the earthly realm. The eclipse was both a warning and an opportunity for the community to reaffirm its connection to the cosmic order through collective, symbolic ceremonies. The blend of scientific observation and religious ritual during eclipse events gave rise to a unique knowledge system, reinforcing Maya social order and maintaining belief in the stable operation of the natural world. The Submerged Temple of Hercules. In the southern bays of Spain, an archaeological team has announced the discovery of a large submerged structure believed to be the remains of the Temple of Hercules, a site closely associated with Greek legend and ancient Western historical sources. The location was once cited as an important religious center visited by such figures as Julius Caesar, Hannibal, and Scipio Africanus, attracting pilgrims from across the ancient Mediterranean. Digital terrain modeling reveals the foundation of the structure, measuring up to 300 meters long and 150 meters wide, now entirely beneath the waters of the Bay of Gadir. This fits ancient descriptions of the temple, once featuring great stone columns, an eternal flame, and rituals honoring Hercules' legendary deeds. Archaeological evidence suggests the temple was built by the Phoenicians around 3,000 years ago, strategically oriented toward the sea and serving as both a religious hub and a maritime trading landmark for the region. Based on studies of the area's natural history, researchers believe geological shifts, earthquakes, or tsunamis caused the submergence and subsequent centuries of oblivion. The discovery of submerged structural remains and ancient building materials now offers a chance to reassess traditional accounts and reconstruct the ancient religious landscape that once embodied both faith and power in pre-Roman Spain. Definitive identification of the site will require further surveys and field verification. Nonetheless, this discovery highlights the pivotal role of ancient religious architecture in shaping the cultural and political geography of the Western Mediterranean, while also raising new questions about the past hidden beneath the sea. If you found these mysterious stories fascinating, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our future discoveries. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.